50. Two cars.
What's your name? Find your f***ing back right now.
Put your hands behind your back. We still got movement in there.
Welcome back. Today, we go beyond simply reporting the details of a high-speed chase. We examine the anatomy of a tragedy. The pursuit that originated in King George County, Virginia, and culminated in a fatal crash in Maryland raises important questions about law enforcement protocols, the inherent risks of high-speed pursuits, and the profound consequences for everyone involved. This analysis seeks to move past the surface-level facts and delve deeper into the complex factors at play in this incident. The initial call and response. Decision-making under pressure. The chain of events began with a report of an alleged robbery. When officers responded, the crucial decision was made to engage in pursuit. Law enforcement agencies follow specific guidelines when deciding whether to pursue a suspect, weighing the necessity of apprehending individuals against the risks posed to public safety. These policies consider factors such as the severity of the crime, the suspect's actions, and environmental conditions. In this case, the alleged robbery, combined with the suspect's immediate flight, likely justified initiating the chase. However, these decisions are not made in a vacuum. Officers must act quickly, often with incomplete information, under immense stress. The reality is that every second counts, and the choice to pursue can mean the difference between capturing a suspect and allowing them to escape. Furthermore, officers must consider the unpredictability of the suspect's behavior. A fleeing individual may drive erratically, increasing the danger to civilians. Communication between dispatch and pursuing officers is also a key element of decision-making, as real-time updates on traffic conditions and potential roadblocks can influence the chase's progression. The dangers of high-speed pursuits. Calculated risk or reckless endangerment? Pursuits at high speeds introduce significant risks. The faster a vehicle moves, the less time there is to react to unexpected obstacles or changes in traffic conditions. The pursuit in this case saw speeds exceeding 120 miles per hour. An extremely dangerous level that dramatically increases the likelihood of severe accidents. Even minor miscalculations at such speeds can lead to catastrophic results. Law enforcement must constantly evaluate whether the need to capture a suspect justifies the potential for loss of life. This consideration is especially critical in cases where the initial offense is non-violent. The physics of the situation paint a clear picture. When the suspect ran a red light at 124 miles per hour, covering 122 feet in 2/3 of a second, and later traveled 40 feet in a quarter second at 109 miles per hour, the level of danger to everyone on the road was extreme. The question that arises is whether the pursuit should have been abandoned at some point to prevent the inevitable disaster. Public safety remains a paramount concern, and alternative methods such as aerial surveillance or roadblocks should be assessed in high-risk situations. Training and pursuit termination techniques, such as the precision immobilization technique, PT maneuver, can also be valuable tools in preventing prolonged, hazardous chases. Crossing state lines. The challenges of multi-jurisdictional pursuits. As the suspect's vehicle crossed from Virginia into Maryland, new challenges emerged. Pursuits that traverse state lines require seamless interagency coordination. Different jurisdictions often have varying policies regarding high-speed chases, and ensuring effective communication is essential to maintain a controlled response. In this case, multiple law enforcement agencies had to quickly synchronize their efforts to track the suspect while maintaining public safety. Coordinated responses are crucial in such scenarios, ensuring that all officers involved share vital information, including the vehicle's movements and suspect details. The transition from one jurisdiction to another also raises legal questions regarding responsibility and authority in determining when and how the pursuit should be terminated. Jurisdictional protocols may differ in terms of when to engage or disengage from a pursuit, creating potential challenges for officers following an evolving situation in real time. A lack of clear communication can lead to dangerous overlaps or lapses in the response strategy, further increasing the risks involved. Tactical decisions, deployment of spike strips and other strategies. During the pursuit, officers attempted to deploy spike strips to stop the fleeing vehicle safely. Spike strips, when used effectively, can deflate tires and slow a suspect's vehicle, reducing the chance of a high-speed collision. However, in practice, their success depends on numerous factors, including how aware and reactive the suspect is. In this case, the suspect managed to evade the spike strips, further prolonging the pursuit and escalating the risk involved. Another critical decision made by the suspect was to turn off their vehicle's lights, making it much harder for officers and other drivers to anticipate their movements. This calculated maneuver significantly increased the danger both for law enforcement and the general public. The suspect's willingness to take such risks indicates a desperation to escape, regardless of the potential consequences. Law enforcement agencies continuously refine their approach to apprehending fleeing suspects while mitigating risk. The use of technology such as GPS tagging, which allows officers to track a suspect without direct engagement, represents an alternative to traditional high-speed pursuits and could be a valuable tool in future scenarios. The fatal collision, impact and aftermath. The pursuit reached its tragic conclusion when the suspect's vehicle collided at a major intersection,
1050, 2 cars.
leading to devastating consequences. The force of impact in high-speed crashes is immense, often resulting in severe injuries and fatalities. However, the repercussions extend beyond the immediate physical damage. The emotional trauma experienced by victims, their families, bystanders, and law enforcement officers is profound.
Look away from me! Yeah, go ahead and cover. I got cover. Is there anybody else on the other side?
Yes, there's a passenger.
Okay.
The chaotic moments following the crash, officers frantically requesting multiple ambulances and attempting to provide emergency aid, paint a harrowing picture of the incident's severity. The fatal outcome, including the loss of life of a passenger, is a stark reminder of how reckless decisions in the heat of a chase can have irreversible consequences. Additionally, this incident will likely serve as a case study in evaluating and improving current pursuit policies. Advocates for reform argue for stricter limitations on when chases should be authorized, particularly when the suspect does not pose an immediate violent threat. As law enforcement agencies assess this case, potential policy changes could influence how future pursuits are handled to minimize similar tragic outcomes. Legal and investigative procedures handling cases involving juveniles. Adding further complexity to this case is the involvement of juveniles. When minors are part of criminal incidents, legal and ethical considerations become even more significant. Laws regarding juvenile privacy are designed to protect young individuals from undue public exposure and lifelong stigmatization. However, these protections can also limit transparency in cases of severe offenses. The Maryland Attorney General's Independent Investigations Division's role in reviewing this case underscores the gravity of the incident and the necessity for an unbiased examination. Key factors that will be analyzed include the exact circumstances of the crash. This investigative process is essential in determining accountability and shaping future law enforcement policies to prevent similar tragedies. The involvement of juveniles also raises questions about rehabilitation versus punishment. While justice must be served, the legal system must consider the long-term effects of its decisions on young offenders, reckless driving, and public safety concerns. This case is not an isolated event. Reckless driving and high-speed chases continue to be significant public safety concerns nationwide. Addressing these issues requires a comprehensive approach that includes driver education, stricter enforcement of traffic laws, and awareness campaigns about the dangers of fleeing law enforcement. Moreover, law enforcement agencies must continuously evaluate and refine their pursuit policies. The ultimate goal is to strike a balance between effective policing and minimizing risk to innocent bystanders. The key factors cited by the Attorney General: excessive speed, impact force, and failure to wear seatbelts, paint a clear picture of how multiple reckless decisions compounded into a tragic outcome. Public discussions on pursuit policies are essential to ensuring that law enforcement actions are conducted as safely as possible. The human element: understanding the true cost. Beyond statistics and legal analysis, this incident remains a deeply human tragedy. Every life affected, the victims, their families, the officers involved, and even the suspects, has been permanently altered. The ripple effects of this event extend far beyond the immediate casualties. Law enforcement officers, often tasked with making split-second life or death decisions, carry the emotional and psychological burdens of these incidents long after the headlines fade. The perspective of a retired officer sheds light on these hidden costs, emphasizing the weight of responsibility law enforcement officials bear in high-stakes situations. As we reflect on this case, we must remember that behind the legal discussions and procedural evaluations are real people whose lives have been changed forever. Our collective responsibility is to learn from such tragedies, fostering a society where better decision-making, improved policies, and increased public awareness help prevent similar incidents in the future. Closing thoughts. In the end, this high-speed chase was more than just another news story. It was a series of decisions, risks, and unfortunate circumstances. As we move forward, we must ask the tough questions. How can law enforcement strategies be improved? What role does public policy play in reducing reckless driving incidents? And how can we, as a society, work to ensure that tragedies like this one become increasingly rare? Only by critically analyzing and learning from these incidents can we hope to create a safer future for all.